Speedy, you're gonna have to move out of the picture. Steady. You're stuck on the pteranodon, aren't you? There we go. Speedy is out of the picture. So one way to breed Superdinos is to start with 2 high-level dinos. Here we've got IcicleFerret and Boulder Annie. They were both tamed at 869, but we've been using them, so we've been leveling up this guy a little bit. But that's why I have these notes here, because only their tamed stats can be passed down to the next generation. So any sort of leveling up you do won't count. Now you probably can't read this, so I'm gonna go out, just read it here for you. And when I tamed IcicleFerret, he was 580 in the wild and 869 tamed. Now, in case you're wondering, this isn't on my single player server. This is on a server that I'm online playing with a friend of mine. But IcicleFerret, he started out with about 17,000 health, 2,300 stamina, 1,800 oxygen, 47,000 food, 940 weight, 904 melee. Sorry about that. 47,000 food, 940 weight, 904 melee, 135 movement speed, and what's that, 22,000 torpor. So he was pretty high level. And Boulder Annie here, she had a little less health at 17,000, 2,000 stamina. She had higher oxygen, lower weight, higher melee, I think about the same movement and about the same torpor. So even though they're the same level, they are not the same stat-wise. And in order to make a super dino, what you want to do is you want to get the high stats of both parents onto one baby. So what I did was I bred them together, and the first thing that popped out here was Calamity Jane. Now again, we've been leveling these guys, so she came out at, oops, wrong button. So Calamity Jane here, if I can bring it up. So when she was born at 910, which is higher than both parents. So when you see that number comes out that's higher than both parents, you know automatically she got more of their positive stats than their negative stats. And looking over the numbers here, she had the, here, let's make this a little simpler on myself. I'll take her note and we'll compare it to her daddy's. So 17,000 health. Damn. So she got the higher oxygen. She got the higher oxygen, the higher food. Yeah, higher oxygen and higher food than her dad, but she did not get the higher melee. So even though she's a lot better than her parents, she's still not as good as she could be. Now, because the high melee stat is on the mom and not the dad, breeding her back to the dad would not produce the result I wanted. So instead of returning her to the breeding pool, she just became a workhorse. And that's part of the reason why she's been leveled up a little, because I'm not really using her for breeding, we're just using her for picking stuff up. But, so I bred Boulder Annie back to IcicleFerret, and I got super lucky, and a 922 popped out, which, because it was higher than what Calamity Jane was, that told me right off the bat that she had gotten all of the high stats. So she's got the 17,000 health, 2,000 stamina, 22,000 oxygen, 47 food, the 904 weight. She got that 922 melee that Calamity Jane was missing. And she has the 135 move and the 23,000 torpor. So she is the super dino. She has all of her parents' high stats, none of the low stats. Literally the only way to make her better, I apologize for the dog, literally the only way to make her better is to find another wild dino and breed her to him. And hopefully that other wild dino has higher stats, because it is possible that he won't. It is possible that I'll find a high level dino that has like roughly the same stats as these two, but they're not going to be any higher. So yeah, so she is our super dino. And what I might do in the future is I'll continue to breed both Boulder Annie and Clobarella back to her dad in hopes of getting a male with all of the high stats on it. And then I can just breed, that male to Clobarella ad infinitum and constantly get dinosaurs with that high level and all those great stats. Now, if you don't have two dinos of a high level, let's say you can only find one high level dino, which that's what happened here with my equises. Sorry about the lighting condition. We're inside a cave. It's not the greatest. But Moose here was the only high level horse I could find. And we'll do the same thing. I did the same thing with him. Now, I don't believe anybody leveled this guy up. Nobody really uses equises except me. But he was 540 in the wild and 809 tamed. He had 5,400 health, 6,000 stamina, 2,000 oxygen, 20,000 food, 1,085 weight, 855 melee, 120 movement, and about 20,000 torpor. But he was the only high-level horse that I could find. So what I did was I just bred him to a female. I called this one Red Sox because she's got red socks. She's level 89, which is awful. I mean, it's not that bad on normal difficulty, but this server has like ×6 difficulty or something along that line. But all of her stats are lower than his stats. So the goal was to get all of his stats onto another horse. So I bred those two. I got super lucky and I got Cocoa Bean here that came out at 702. And you compare Cocoa Bean's stats, she got all of her dad's high stats except for the food. She has 4,050 food, whereas he had, what was his food again? 20,000. So that's actually super lucky. They are effectively the same because the food stat only affects how long they can go without eating before starving to death. So as long as you keep food in her inventory, she'll be just as good as Moose. But just because I wanted more high-level horses, I bred Cocoa Bean back to Moose. I know it's inbreeding, but apparently whatever ARC gods out there have solved whatever problem inbreeding causes, because I got this one, which is Aces High. Like I said, I've been using Aces High, so he is leveled up. But if we check out his little note here, he came out at 809. And the note here actually says see Moose, because he came out at 809, which told me instantly that he had gotten his dad's high food chance. When I bred Cocoa Bean to Moose, I had a 50-50 shot of getting either her food stat or his food stat. And since all their other stats were the same, that's the only one that could have changed. So when he came out at 809, I knew immediately he had Moose's high stats. High food stats, sorry. And so that would be, the only way it would have been better is if Aces High here had been a female. He's not, he's a male. But if he had been female, then I could continue to breed that female and Moose together and constantly gotten the same level 809 horse. It's not as good as if you had two high-level dinos, because you can always put, the idea of having the two high-level dinos is you take the best of both and put them onto one. But this is another way to get high-level dinos if you can only find, or if you only have one high-level dino tamed. You just keep going back and forth. And I got super lucky, and the first one out was Cocoa Bean. I think there might be some sort of calculation that weighs towards the higher level stat. I'm not positive on that, though, so don't quote me. But either way, you may have to try this a couple of times to get not only the right level horse, but also the right gender horse. And if you have a couple that come out not so great, if you look at the different stats, it may be that you can do with the progeny what I did with Boulder Annie and then Kylo Ren, which is you just keep breeding them back to each other and back to the mother and the father until you get one that has all the high stats you want. You won't necessarily be able to get this done in 2 generations like I did. It may take you a couple more. But if you're patient and if you just keep doing that, eventually you'll get the high level stats. It does take patience, and depending on your server rates, it can be a long process, it can be a short one. But in short, that's the way how you get super dinos from only 1 or 2 starter high level dinos. Okay, now these are 2 wolves that a friend of mine tamed, and because I'm into breeding, he asked that I breed them up for him. Now at first glance, you can see one's 599 and one's 539, so you think, oh, you want all the stats from the 599 one. But if we actually compare them, and the caveat here is I don't know if he leveled anything up. I didn't tame them, so I don't know for certain if he didn't level anything up. But I looked at these stats earlier, and his stamina is 2392. And hers is 2444, so she actually has higher stamina. So in order to get a super wolf out of these 2, what we want is all of his stats except stamina, and then her stamina onto one baby. Now this is going to take a little while because we're trying to get one very specific mutation or combination here, and the progeny has approximately a 50-50 chance of getting either one of their stats. So we're probably going to get a couple of wolves come out that are somewhere between 539 and 599, but eventually we're going to get one that has her stamina. So for the first breeding, we got twins. Now they popped out at 606, so initially I thought they were our super wolf, that they had gotten all the high stats. But after comparing the stats to the dad, it turns out they did get the mother's higher stamina, but they got the dad's lower melee, which is not ideal. It's not what we want in a super wolf. We want them to have all of the high stats. So because they were missing the dad's high melee stat, and they were also boys, we could not breed them back to the dad. So they're essentially useless to us. We can't use them in the breeding anymore. So we're just going to let them grow up, set them aside. Now, if you really don't want to have all these dinos, you can always kill them and get the prime meat out of them. But, you know, whatever works for you. You can, like we do, the ones that aren't the really good dinos, we just, use for actual work. So that's what we're going to do to these two here. We're just going to set them aside. So sorry I didn't bring you back for the birth, but I bred our wolves again. And we got this girl who's about the same level as her dad, which tells me she probably got almost all of his stats exactly. So this isn't the super wolf we were hoping for. And since it looks like, and I'll have to do a side-by-side comparison, but it looks like she got almost all or all of her dad's stats. And since we want, unfortunately this breeding's a wash again because we want the mom's high, the stamina and the food. So we want the mom's high stats onto the dad's high stats. And basically what we got was a female version of the male. So that's not our super wolf. We're getting closer, but she's not our super wolf. So we're just going to chuck her over there with her brothers and use them as just like a hunting pack or something. And tomorrow we'll try again to get our super wolf. Okay, any minute now, we're going to have a baby wolf. And I can't do much about the lighting situation. It looks like it's either going to rain or it's turning nighttime, so it's going to get dark. But we're going to see if we finally manage to get our super wolf. Or at least get a little closer. There's a wolf. And it's stuck. Here it comes. Got it. Alright, it's a female. 580. We got close. Let's see. Let me get you some meat before you starve, and then we'll check stats. Okay, so we got the higher stamina, it looks like. That's kind of awesome. And then we have 62. Okay, good. So we got the high health, the high stamina, the high oxygen. We gotta lower something else, though, because it's not higher level than the dad. So we're looking at a 14 food, 465. Alright, looks like all we're missing is the higher food, so this is gonna be close. 571 melee, 30 movement. Is that what you had? 30, yep, 16. Alright! It only took us 3 days and 3 tries, but we finally got something that resembles a super wolf. Looks like we're only missing his high food stat. 465, 420. I forgot to check the weights. Yeah, looks like we're just missing his high food stat. We might have gotten a lower torpidity, I didn't check that one. But either way, this little lady, we did it! We got our super wolf! We have the mom's high stamina and the dad's high health and melee. So this one This little lucky lady. We're probably going to breed her back to her dad in hopes of getting a male with those high stats that we want. And please ignore my dog. So we're going to breed her back to her dad when she's old enough. We're going to try and get a male with her high stats on it. I mean, all his high stats and all her high stats all bundled onto one. And we're going to have our wolf army. So, I'm really glad we got it as quickly as we did. I mean, what is it, 3-4 days isn't exactly fast, but yeah, with the breeding times on this server, that's as good as we could get. And I just kind of wanted to show you that it's not going to be a quick process to get these super dinos. You're gonna go through several different iterations. It's really a matter of RNGesus blessing you with good luck. Behavior disable one. There we go. And with the horses, when I got cocoa beans straight off the first bat, that was just super lucky. And I kind of wanted to show you that it's not going to happen all the time. It's going to take several tries. So now that we got our super wolf, we're just going to hopefully breed up a whole pack of these. Yeah. I hope that helped you guys understand the breeding process a little more. If you liked the video, go ahead and give it a like. If it helped you out in any way, or if you think somebody else might benefit from it, feel free to share with all your friends. That's gonna be it for me. Stay frosty, my friends, and I will see you next time.